Hello, everyone. I am FC Swift here for a director's chat for the Cradle of War expansion, joined by FC Rattati, FC Burger, and FC Okami. That's the first and only time I'm going to get those titles correct. So don't worry about it. How's everything going, guys?
Is excellent.
Yeah, pretty awesome. Almost expansion time.
It's really good.
It has been just a minute since we chatted with everyone at FanFest. Also missing people at FanFest. It's one of those moments where we get so much crazy energy following FanFest, and then just kind of like a little bit of sadness and just solemnness when everyone's gone, and we just have each other basically. So that's what we got. And now we have you guys again that are chatting about everything coming in Cradle of War. Right on. And as you can see, we're all representing some of the different empires in the spirit of the military campaigns. I am the wonderful Kaldari. Burger, who are you repping?
Galante for life.
Okami, were you always...
In Rust we trust.
Very, very amazing. And Rattati, of course.
For God and country, but Galente is mine. I don't know why I ended up here, but it is
because
what it
you
is.
look so good in gold. That's why. And the military campaigns, everyone needs to contribute to one of them. You can also contribute to a bunch of them. But let's just start with military campaigns, right? One of the coolest things coming in Cradle of War, we talked about it a lot at FanFest. Players have now been able to see a little bit more of the contribution methods and kind of what's at stake for these empires. So I guess kick things off for us, Burger. How do you imagine the military campaigns going?
I'm very excited about military campaigns. I think it's a great opportunity for everyone to kind of do their part and find their place in New Eden. And it's something that we've been talking about for a very long time. We talked about this initially when we rolled out the version of the NP that we have today, that we need people on the home front to stitch the boots, and we need people to kind of funnel the war from the home front, and we're finally kind of delivering on these promises. And I think this is a beautiful opportunity for everyone to get their feet wet in the darkness of New Eden.
Right on. And so I guess in terms of what type of player you expect to interact with the military campaigns, is there anyone in particular that these are aimed for? Or is it kind of more for everyone, but we're hoping maybe newer players come in? Is there any assumptions that we have with these military campaigns going on?
I think it's for everyone, really. Like there is an activity there for everyone, whether you're a newer player, an industrialist, a miner, in factional warfare. Like there really is content here for everyone. And I think, if you're already doing those things, there might just be extra value for that, a little bit more risk in the things you're already doing. But for me, really, it comes down to when I return to an expansion, if I'm a newer player, it's really nice to have something that says what is the context of what's happening in EVE right now, and how can I be a part of something? And I can just kind of be like, I'm a Minmatar player. What's Minmatar up to? Okay, they're trying to accomplish this. Okay, well, I'm going to help, right? Well, how can I do that? And there's something that clearly kind of guides me to that space and gives me some direction to start helping.
No, absolutely. The campaigns are also just an evolution of us formalizing ways to let players impact the universe. So it's really trying to create cool gameplay for everyone. Like you said, we talk about global participation. We want people to, from nullsec all the way to faction war, we want to have a way to interact with these, so you don't have to go to a certain place or feel excluded from the campaign. So these ones in particular, it doesn't mean that every faction campaign, because we can make faction campaigns in the future, will have that, but at least these four, the Empire should be the stepping stone towards that. But it's going back to Shadow War campaign. It's going back to the Gate to Stain. It's going back to Triglavians. It's building on that foundation of how do we actually make it real for players to change the world, and not just in one-offs, but kind of. So this is the natural evolution, and I couldn't be happier with this whole thing.
Yeah, and it's really important for when you have players that are not necessarily into deep with the empires or into deep with the big kind of player organizations. This is a way for them to kind of participate in the larger story and feel like they're a part of something bigger without having to join a group or join a Discord server or all those things up front. Jump in, do some fun stuff, bump into people, join up with them, join their Discord server, and make new friends.
Nice.
I'm just going to grab a couple things you guys said that's really cool too. At the heart of it, it is a universe storytelling vehicle. And when I think of the story in Eve, the story of Eve is crafted by our players. And so when we created this, we really did look back to the Triglavian moments and the Shadow Wars and all of these beats where players were able to participate and shape the outcome of the universe. And that's kind of what's at the heart of campaigns. And what FC Rattati said that's really cool and I want to highlight is right now we are focusing on the empires, but this is an ongoing framework that we could use campaigns to tell a Triglavian story or an SOCT story if we wanted to in the future. And so right now they are military campaigns focused on the empire, but this is something that we're going to be working with for a long time to come and be telling many stories with.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that was going to be one of my next questions. Like, yeah, we know this is coming Cradle of War with the 4 empires. They each have like their own objective that they're going for, but it's something that you just touched on, and just touched on quite eloquently, that it's going to continue going on to the future expansions. Like, there's going to be a military campaign for who knows what, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, immediately comes to mind pirate campaigns could be very cool, right? Maybe Angels and Garista campaigns in the future. How have these campaigns impacted the pirate factions and what is their story? So, um, be prepared for more in the future. And I think if you're excited by what's here now, just think of the possibilities as we tell different and interesting stories that you can be a part of, but also like foundationally change the landscape of New Eden as well.
And what's also really cool here is that these campaigns are not necessarily bound by time. So in theory, we could also move some of our events to the system, and we could start building short campaigns for some of the corporations in Eve or the more obscure entities that don't really get the love that they deserve.
Yeah, and even NPC null, I think it's a very underutilized area, is to have some activities in that. It's really, I can't remember anything really that has happened in NPC null for ever, I guess. But I think all of those factions deserve to be working on something. So I think it could be really cool as a role playing fantasy to work for Blood Raiders or Choristas or anything else.
Yeah, I remember very early on starting with Eve, I wanted to work with the Serpentis. I thought they were the coolest people. I went out to Fountain, it died horribly trying to get there. Never really managed to live there full time early in my career, but I still had like this fantasy of like, I'm going to be one of the coolest like pirates ever. I'm going to fly their pirate ships all the time. So it'll be neat. Like somewhere down the line, maybe there's a military campaign where the Serpentis are asking me to do something. And if the people that contribute to it like succeed, maybe they get a cool objective that changes the Eve world forever. That is something that I think a lot of players will get really excited by, being like, yeah, I'm the one that is responsible for the Niarja Gate not existing anymore, or just for like the Amar trade empire being a little bit better than Jita.
You said forever. I think it's interesting. Some of these might be clawing back something we already did, and I think that's so. If we had this tool back when we did the Gate to Stain, like that would have been a campaign. Like clearly, we should have made that a campaign. So I don't think there's any reason to write off like what if there's a clawback Niarja campaign and we want to re-win that, etc. So I think there's ways to change the universe now, just by putting a goalpost down and saying, if you want this, fight for it. My favorite conversation has been, why can't we add more NPC stations and drones or something like that? I think that is now obviously just a campaign result. Like if enough people want to have something, we put it down as an achievable thing. And if you manage to build an NPC station in drones, then that's pretty cool. And maybe there's a fight again to rip it down if it happens.
That is neat. Giving players a lot of power to add chaos into the universe. I think Eve players are the best at adding chaos to the universe. If there's ever a choice between something that's like sensible or something that breaks everything, I know what I think Eve players are going to always go for, which is the breaking everything, and that's part of the fun too.
Hell yeah, we can't wait to see how people interact with this. And like honestly, whenever we design something, we think about what our expectations might be, but then we always know that there's this fear of like, I have no idea. I have no idea how people are actually gonna use this thing, and I'm excited and interested by that. So we're gonna keep doing these, and we're gonna iterate on them. So surprise us. I can't wait to be surprised.
I think the CC test has gone great, or we've been collecting feedback a lot, and obviously there's feedback about, you know, the different factions or different empires getting different rewards and not maybe the same perceived value of those. And we're ready to listen. Like some of this is it's a work in progress. We need to find what's actually like meaningful. Sometimes the meaning come from the actual change and the collaboration, but like we should try to strive for like equal impact or kind of somehow like being beneficial to like the to all of the participants. We won't get like there's no way to have perfect parity, but like I think the feedback is really good.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and something we actually talked about in the lore panel or the narrative panel at FanFest. We are starting to embrace way more kind of the asymmetry of the game as well, and that's something that it was something that kind of held us back kind of in the past, but we are more and more starting to think about like, okay, how can we can we just look at Galente now? We saw that with the Galente elections earlier this year, where we kind of give Galente a bit more love and attention because they just need to reach kind of the same status, I guess, as the other empires. They need to reach the same level of cool as the other empires. Let's just be blunt about it. So yes, we will absolutely strive to make sure that the outcomes of these military campaigns will be relatively even or at equal grounds. But we're also okay with creating some asymmetry, and you won't always have like the exact same outcomes for each empire. And some empires might be trying to build a massive new station, while another one is trying to build a gate, and the third one is trying to reform their tax system, and that's just kind of a possibility for the future.
Yeah, I think to just keep adding on to that, really, like we have been responding to feedback that we've had about rewards, specifically the Amar rewards. That's something we're taking into account. So the playtesting cycle has been really helpful, and listening to everybody's feedback is great. But this is really, there should be some texture in this design too. And so it's going to be hard for us, I think, if every, series of campaigns, everything is as equal as one another. That may not be as interesting. So I think there is some motivation and some story and some narrative behind all of this as well. And I think the biggest thing is just to ride it out with us. So maybe one series of campaigns, the rewards for one faction don't feel as grand as another, but who knows what's next, right? Because there is something coming next. And I think to be patient and to be a part of this ongoing journey, because Eve it's an ongoing journey that we're all a part of. So let's ride it out together and keep giving us feedback, because we will incorporate that into what comes next as well.
Contrary to what people say, ISK per hour isn't the only thing.
Whoa, hot take, hot take, hot take.
Yeah,
Well,
sometimes
Galente.
it's fun or chaos, right? Like it's fun to think about Eve. I've always imagined Eve as like several games in a trench coat pretending to be one game. So what is like from my play style, one of these outcomes is clearly going to be the best. But for someone else, like it might be another campaign that is the best for them, right? Like a trader might have a different perspective than a PvPer, who might have a different perspective than a wormholer, and so on. So like it's kind of neat to see everyone's going to be fighting for what they think is the best, maybe advocating for their group. Like there's going to be like a need to create propaganda for some of these campaigns to get some more support for the thing that you want. You can't just like no matter how good you are at the game, you can't just go and do it yourself. You can't just have your like small group of friends push one campaign to victory. You're going to need some support from someone else.
Yeah, I
And just
think
to go full on tacky on this, like for a lot of players, this is all about the journey, not the destination. Oh,
But I love that, you know, behind it all, under it, like Eve is the ultimate science fiction, right? Like there is a universe that people live in, and there are these empires, and there are these factions that people feel uh, motivated and excited by, like Minmatar, let's go, right? Like let's rally behind a cause and change the universe together. So I'd love to see what people do from a role playing perspective. I love to see how people kind of respond to the forces in the universe. So that's a very exciting part of this.
Yeah, well, I'm very excited to see that military campaigns for the empires. I personally am probably rooting for the Minotaur the most. I want to see phased fields and high sec. I think that's really cool. But you know, the Blessed Exchange is also very nifty. I want Oz to tell me how to make money on this endeavor once the MR achieve victory, or hopefully they achieve victory. But moving on to that, let's talk about some spaceships. We make a spaceship video game. We got to have some spaceships. So we've got command carriers that are coming in. So 4 new Tech 2 carriers that are going to be coming in with Cradle of War, and 4 Navy destroyers. Okami, do you want to like walk us through kind of what the thought process is around having those 2 very different styles of ships?
Yeah, I think first of all, there's quite a few new ships coming in this expansion, which is very cool and exciting. I think there's 8 new ships, all in all, and really the kind of thought process and the philosophy behind this, we saw huge sort of like joy and resonance with people in Catalyst when we introduced a new ship that was an everyday ship, right? Like something that people could just moment to moment and in their early game journey begin to use regularly. And so um, we're sort of carrying that philosophy forward into this expansion, and therefore we see the Navy destroyers as a thing that people can get into quite early um, and use regularly. And it's something that's just going to be there, and it's going to become a staple of the game. But then we also wanted to take something that people had been talking about quite a bit, which was carriers, what their role in Eve was, and create these sort of like new sort of stretch goals and these big, you know, gems that people could work towards, that are going to be more expensive and more specialized in what they do, but kind of lend to the sort of weight of the end game and the epic battles of Eve as well. So we really kind of spread ourselves out across that spectrum. So something a little bit for whether you're a new player or just want something every day, or whether you're stretching into the sort of the end game of Eve and looking for something new there.
Right on. And do you have a favorite ship of the 8 that are coming in?
I like the Emir.
I think everyone loves the Emish. It's just so badass.
I'm a huge fan of the old Kaldari. Now I stolen from me.
Yeah,
The
the
old,
old Chimera model for the
yeah, yeah. I have fond memories, so that's my favorite ship. Bring that back, a chunky boy. But I think it's interesting to go back to the journey of one capital at a time thing that we've kind of doing, or maybe not like ship type in some way. So this really started back in some CSM. It's pretty far gone. But we were wargaming there, and I think Aerith was there. Test Vidley, like, so someone can remember which one is CSM 14 or something. I can't remember. But there was this rock paper scissors kind of war game whiteboard that we were going through, and a lot of the paths that we're on right now like are built on that, trying to establish one thing at a time and really trying to fix it. So battleships, and also cost at the same time, like what's the right cost. So battleships was the first kind of stepping stone, and trying to get them down to 250 mil or whatever the right number is. Um, then going to Marauders, trying to find them a place, and then going to dreadnoughts, figuring out what Navy Dreadnought means, T2 Dreadnought means, then the obvious next step is to go to carriers, figure them out. What is a T2? What is a Navy? But on that board, we're also trying to kind of figure out the future at the same time, because we are always trying to figure out a counter to super caps, escalation here. What is a fleet of faxes? What does that do here? How will that not become overpowered, etc.? So a lot of it is like one kind of firm step, then figure stuff out, then another one. So I know that people are not like T1 carriers aren't fixed. No, but we're going to learn something from here, because now we have like a different type of command ship. We need to see how that pans out. Does that break anything? We figure that out, and maybe we figure out that we need to fix or improve carriers now. But we also changed faxes in the last major update. So going to a triple cap, or if I remember correctly. So like there's also stuff there that like we haven't seen necessarily pan out in the new meta. So we have to be careful. We don't want to like change too many things at the same time. So I'm just super excited about just taking this capital ship, adding stuff to it, fixing it, and moving to the next one. Whether it's super carriers next, or faxes, or something new, we don't know, but we need to kind of measure a little bit.
It has been really fun to see how the just the meta overall has changed just in the last year. We've seen a lot more carriers out in space. Excuse me. Some of them a lot smaller scale, I think, than we expected. Of course, every once in a while we'll see some massive amounts of capitals and carriers out there too. But how they act is like very different when it's on a small scale versus a medium scale versus a large scale. So it is very tricky to do. So I like the idea of just going through, making some iterative changes, adding a new puzzle piece, waiting to see how that affects things, and then kind of like just smoothing out the corners, as you say, as we go along. I still like last summer when we had remote rep abaddons, which were absolutely unhinged and crazy, just to have remote repairing battleships again. So good on you, Minotaur Fleet Alliance, for being absolutely bonkers trying new things.
Yeah, and there's stuff that we've talked about that bringing tactical recloners to carriers in some way, kind of maybe somehow respawning fighters. That's something that we talked about. Also trying to maybe figure out hull dreads at the same time. Like now that we have a competition for subcap bashing, like maybe there is a balance to be struck there. So it's always a careful meta to figure out.
Yeah, a lot of stuff for players to figure out. Like we give them so many tools. Sometimes it does take a few months for these things to pan out, and for someone to just have that moment where they're just like, oh, I can do this with this thing. This is a cool way to utilize this tool. Okami, I think you said it best. Like we give players a lot of tools. We have some ideas of how they might be used, but we know there's always going to be some hidden case scenario that goes and completely breaks everything. The best kind of way to design stuff.
Yeah, it's embracing that sort of chaos, and also knowing like there's no way we can think through everything that everybody's going to do. And I think part of the joy is letting everybody discover what they can do and break those things, right? So I always say we're going to fix one thing and break two other things, and then we'll fix one of those and they'll break two other things, and this is the way we build Eve. This is just how it goes. Embrace that.
I love it. And kind of segueing into that, like new players learning all of the craziness that is Eve. Coming Cradle of War, we'll have Exordium. I mean, we already have Exordium right now, at least in some level. Burger, tell me a little bit about like what the concept behind Exordium was, and why you kind of feel it's important to exist in Eve.
I mean, our goal is to have Eve last forever and have Eve outlive us all. And we can't really do that unless we have a steady stream of new players coming into the game. And, you know, we've done a lot in the last few years to improve the early onboarding of new players, but there is still a cliff, and there is still a pretty dramatic cliff. And we know that, you know, there is good complexity, and then there is, you know, bad complexity in Eve, and one of the really challenging things to teach new players is, when they get ganked, when they get suicide ganked in their first day, week, month of game. And yeah, I mean, a lot of people say that that's a part of, it's a part of your Eve experience to be ganked. But if you have no idea why you died, like, you don't learn anything from it. And whoever ganked you doesn't really gain anything if this new player drops off and never logs in again. Like, that's one fewer souls to build an empire, one fewer souls to kind of be a part of of your history going forward. So we've been talking about this type of space for a very long time. How a space where new players can test things out, they can kind of get their feet wet, and they can ease into the difficulty curve of New Eden. And Exordium is that. That's kind of a kind of space owned and occupied by Air. And each of the four empires have an embassy system or few embassy systems in Exordium, so we can allow players to kind of take their first steps into New Eden, get to know the lore, get to know the empires, and kind of make more meaningful, better decisions with more competence. We're building the space for players not to stick around. We're kind of pushing them out, and we will continue to work on this in the November expansion and in the summer expansion in 27. And we're really, like, for this expansion, we're really trying to learn, like, how long should a player stay in there. Like, should it be a day? Should it be a week? Should it be a month? And this is some of the things that we will start to figure out. We actually decided to deploy the space earlier to allow players to go in and start putting stuff on the market, setting up recruitment, and planning out like how they want to navigate, because there's a lot of fantastic Eve players that help new players get going, and we're working very closely with many of these players to figure out how exactly we want to tune it, how exactly we want to kind of do the onboarding in the most successful way.
Also, shout out to players. They, within 40 minutes, figured out how to score kills in Exordium. So good job. Keep
Pew, pew.
And PI Pocos.
Oh yeah, they dropped Pocos in the planets that are unkillable now. Don't worry, we'll figure something out with those. Don't worry.
The hand of
to-
God.
To kind of leap off of all of this too, just to add on to what Rutger was saying, is like, we know like what is special about Eve is the complexity and depth of it, and bringing players together to solve those challenges through like a unified force and organization and friendship and all of these things. So in order for us to keep kind of expanding that over many years, like we're going into our third decade here, we also have to look at like the context of the newer players entering this ecosystem. Like there's 23 years of systems and content that they're coming face to face with now that everybody else got to grow into together, right? If you've been around for a while. So how do you introduce people to all of that all at once? And also just sort of the expectations of gamers and people who might be interested in an experience like Eve coming in today is different than maybe 10 years ago. And so we need to kind of make space for those people in order for us to keep expanding the challenge and complexity and the puzzles and wonders of the Eve universe. So it's really about kind of supporting both of these things together.
But it also shouldn't just be like a kindergarten in that sense. So we want to fill it with cool stuff. We want to create campaigns that happen inside Exordium, kind of feel like they're being almost recruited, like there's a competition for their talent. They're not just random noobs, they're kind of new gods that need to learn and fight, but they're not mere mortals. But we need to show them and teach them that they are powerful, and the new epic arc may be helpful for that. But also just more NPCs, maybe quests, etc. Like just make it feel alive and more together. Also, less split up is a big part of the new design. Is that we're all here. We called it like the class of 26. Like we all joined here, and we have like a bond now, and kind of we graduate together, or like it's way better than being all over the place in disparate places, based on which school you picked accidentally in the character creator and all this. So that's the kind of, like, there's a Unity academy kind of feeling vibe that should be there, but it shouldn't be school. It's blowing up stuff and killing for the empires and doing cool stuff, but maybe going to the front lines and doing all that, but having a place that where you're not punished and you can learn by trial and error, I think is core to this, core to survival for new players.
Yeah,
Yeah.
getting them. Sorry, FC Burger.
Yeah, I just want to add a bit on that. Yeah, we've talked a lot about this adjacent new player. Like, we think a lot about the new players, but it's also the fact of you're seeing others that are kind of going through the same thing as you. And when you see someone in a dungeon doing something, you can be pretty sure that's another new player. So it's kind of, it eases off the barrier of kind of communication and reaching out and asking people for help and things like that. But another thing we're also doing in this space, because the space is contained, we're doing a lot of experiments in kind of environmental storytelling, kind of giving the kind of your surroundings more opportunity to tell the story of the empires and the space that you're in. So some of the things that players will see in the new expansion, both in Exordium and out of Exordium, is that each of the empires is actually getting a new kind of header font. So as you enter Amar space, you see like a now entering Amar, or like the system that you're in their font. And Galente has a distinct font. In Exordium, in the embassy spaces, we're also releasing the first batch of new Empire Space music, which is way more dynamic music, way more kind of fluid, and it reacts more to what you do, and it just kind of gives you that deeper immersion, and it kind of echoes, it echoes Minmatar, or you can hear the chimes of Amar. So it's a super cool thing, and we're doing a lot of just in the environments themselves as well. We're pushing the boundaries. So this is the first step into a bigger change that we're going to push throughout New Eden.
The class of 26 is going to know that Eve has sound. It's going to be crazy. They're going to be playing such a different version of Eve than the class of like 2012.
The chimes of Amar. Rattati, you got the chimes there? You play those for us?
A gong.
We can add stuff in post. It'll just be like
bar. Play some.
hell yeah, nice. That's actually super cool. I didn't realize that they would have their own like kind of soundscape as well that people can sort of identify with. I do love when players are flying around different areas of space. They really see that like, oh, I'm in a Mars space. Everything is kind of like yellowish, like this kind of like murky thing. Going over to Minmer star space, you get these like really deep red, like garnet hues coming in, and then like the Kaldari blue. Hell yeah, everyone knows Cheetah. But that's neat that they're going to be trained early on.
Wait, Jira, is that a Kaldari thing? Isn't that some other guys that own Jira?
There's been some shenanigans afoot, as Berger is alluding to, as of just a couple weeks ago, actually. Yeah, Cheetah is no longer controlled by the Kaldari. Concord is administering it, but Kaldari still has a pretty big presence there. They've still got the main trading hub. Taxes are the same, still making some bank. Things are kind of okay for the Kaldari still. Oh no. Poor Kaldari, my side. We're gonna lose more stuff. But cool. We got a lot of other things coming in the expansion as well. I know Nikon and Havran were talking about titles and achievements. I know players got to see some of the first titles and achievements that are able to be picked up. Meat Popsicle is still my favorite. I'm going to be very excited to go through. I know Convict is giga excited to now build a Titan, so he can be a Titan builder according to the achievements. He's never wanted to build a Titan at all in his EVE career. Now that there's an achievement for it, he's like, well, I guess now there's something for me to do. It's actually kind of interesting to see the completionist players of EVE Online just like looking at these and being like, well, shit, I know what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to grind 200 abyssal sites before anyone else so I can get that title first.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of really cool things here. One is just goal setting for anybody. I think it's nice to have a clear goal or something you can set for yourself that's a bit of a stretch and a challenge to do, especially if you've been playing for a while and you've kind of figured everything out. Like maybe this might get you out of your comfort zone to try something else out. And then just being recognized for that and being able to share that with other people too. I think being able to say that you're a Titan builder and look, here it is. I can show you. I am a Titan builder. Indeed, is a really cool and important thing. And then again, kind of calling back to our newer players in the context of today, right? Like this is a system that people are familiar with. And we really just wanted, like, there's so many new things and new concepts you have to learn in Eve. And sometimes it's nice to just have something familiar to latch onto and being like, what should I do next? And somebody can say, well, these achievements are a great place for you to start. Like if you do this, you're going to learn a little bit about the Eve universe. You're going to learn how to move around or to do these concepts. So go focus on those things. There's another thing to just kind of grab onto, be familiar with, and give you a bit of a goal setting framework.
Right on. I like that. Nice little framework to kind of there's just gently nudge people into new areas of space that they might be interested in, but they just need a little push to try and figure it out or put their big toe in the deep end of the pool.
And we've just never had a way to commemorate anything formally, except maybe make NPC medals, I think is the only one. So I think this is way more than just that. I think this is a way for us to commemorate people who have been playing for 5 years or 10 years. There's a way to be a cadet of class 26. Like there's stuff we can issue um, behind the scenes, after the fact. They don't all have to be achievements because we can now theoretically, this is one of the hidden use cases, is to be able to go say, okay, who actually was in B5 RB? Let's go give them an achievement for like survivor of B5, or not survivor maybe, but like I was there moments. And I think we can retroactively fit like some of these, which is super cool. I think making alliance tournaments titles makes like 100% sense. All of these little things, that we've done, like HSI, like travel to everything. Like we're formalizing these real things into a scalable design, where eventually players can make their own titles as well. Like at least theoretically.
Yeah, and we're gonna, now we're gonna in this initial release, we're putting out titles and achievements, and then kind of in a later expansion, if it's the winter expansion or in a year's time, like we want to give people ways to actually show off like their favorite achievement so others can see. And I think that's a beautiful way of kind of telling your story and portraying to others like who you are. You'll be able to, of course, show off the title now. So that will give people some sense of like, ooh, it's Okami, the Titan chicken or something.
I am the Titan chicken.
And then you can kind of showcase who you are and how you kind of see yourself in kind of in this beautiful space.
It's about. I'm reminded of 22, where we talked about Skinner or player made skins for the first time, and it's all in context with what we called at the time trying to express your identity in the game, but we've evolved that into a kind of a pillar or a theme of true legacy, because Eve actually builds true legacy. Like people become known. They're actually famous for something, and um, putting your logos on ships, putting medals, putting badges, expressing with titles. This is all there. Like we started a journey back then, which we're still on. Which is it's always good to remember that we're not just throwing darts on a wall. Like we've been doing this now for like a long time with a very specific plan. We want you to be able to, at a glance, see what you're all about. Like, what is this dude all about? What is this person actually like proud of themselves? What have they chosen to show us is very interesting, and it may help with matchmaking. It may help with corporation recruitment. and all kinds of things. But also, it may just matter to you. Like, I'm this guy, I want to be this, and that's who I am.
Yeah, that is very nifty. I like it. There's a whole bunch more stuff that's coming in the expansion as well. The expansion patch notes are available as soon as we stop yapping. We talked a lot about like new players, uh, you know, titles and achievements, military campaigns, and how that works. But there's also ship balance changes. Angel Cartel ships getting a big buff. Some micro warp drive changes as well. Some other ship balance stuff. In faction warfare space, for example, there's some new sites that you guys can compete in. I'm really looking forward to see how you guys do with the battle cruiser sites. Getting an extra level of battle cruiser in is going to be absolutely wild from a theory crafting perspective. So yeah, lots of new chaos to be in there. Some changes to seagulling mechanics that we've been working on since the beginning of the year. Just a whole bunch of really cool stuff. I encourage you all to dive in there, check it out before the expansion comes on Tuesday the 9th. But before we head out, I still wanted to chat a little bit more about things that are coming in the future, right? Maybe not just the Cradle of War expansion, but beyond a little bit. If we just want to look a little bit beyond that, because there is, it's not just a single moment. This is part of a series, as you guys have all said at FanFest and in the director's chat at the earlier part of the year. But the one thing I want to focus on or move on to right now is force projection stuff. We chatted a little bit about at FanFest about force projection. There are no force projection changes in the Cradle of War update. But Okami, you wanted to talk a little bit about kind of like where we are now and what the next steps are.
Yeah, so really we're first focusing on force projection via Ansiblex gates. And I just want to say, we understand that it's a bigger and more nuanced problem that has many pieces, from alphas to just many other things. And I think that this is just the first sort of step that we're taking. So a lot of the conversations I have with people are about, well, there's all these other things. And it's like, yes, we know, but we have to start somewhere. And this is where we're going to start. And sort of the important pieces of it are both the fact that we have been and will continue working with the CSM and everyone and taking in feedback along the way. I think it's important that we do something meaningful and sort of significant in the next little while to start to make an impact here, more than just tuning this or that. And that, we'll try to stay on top of being very highly communicative, sharing our plans early, listening to feedback, and most importantly, just committing to iterations. And if something, a change we do or don't make here, works or doesn't work, we'll factor that in and we'll keep iterating. So as I talk to people and they're sort of humming and hawing, those are all the bits I want people to know and think about is there is a plan. And we will be open and we'll be talking and we'll be communicating and iterating on this over time. And we have to start somewhere. So this is where we're starting.
So maybe you can start with Galante attacking Minotaur.
Boop. Projected.
The Galente projecting the Minotaur space way too strong. That's clearly the thing we're going to be focusing on.
Yeah, those drones out of here.
I agree with Okami. It's time. Like we can't just sit here and guess and theory craft and complain at the same time. Like, we need to make a change. There has been varied levels of consensus building. We want to not go against the whole grain. We really CCP FC doesn't have any real kind of dog in the hunt here. We're trying to sense what the community wants, and we hear there's an ask to try to fix the situation, and it's the majority. Then there's lobbyism and politics, and maybe not clearly the right answer, and maybe the obvious answer isn't the best answer because that just leads to a situation, and it's fine to wargame all that. We've done that a lot. We've done it in 3 CSMs in a row. And there's always consensus, and then people kind of fall off because they don't want to commit to that consensus. and that's fine. But we're going to do something. Like we're definitely going to make a change.
Yeah, the key is that there is no silver bullet. We just have to start, and then we learn and we continue.
I also think, broadly speaking, right, like it's kind of a solved thing in Eve. And an Eve that I've seen is that changes over time is a more interesting one with new problems to solve and new challenges to figure out. And really, when we talk about the complexity of Eve and why that's good, it's seeing people come together and solve these new issues. So this is a piece that feels relatively solved on some level. And I think by injecting a new sort of puzzle or set of things here for players to solve, it's going to be really interesting. And I think that's where fun comes from, and that's what Eve is. So I'm excited to kind of break down some old conventions and try something a little bit more different and inject some new challenge and puzzle into the universe.
Yeah, Eve players are the best at min-maxing stuff, but they need stuff to min-max. So like new challenges to solve, even if it's not, as Berger was saying, a silver bullet. We know there's never going to be a silver bullet for any design change that we do in Eve. It's just kind of moving that target around, keeping people on their toes, and just shaking the sandbox ever so gently, sometimes a little bit more violently when it needs to be done. Another thing that's coming along, nice. Another thing that's coming along a little bit sooner than that is Project Avalon. This is something that we talked a little bit about at FanFest. If you were at FanFest, you actually got to play the new Vanguard build as well. But we were talking about the link between Eve and Vanguard and kind of what that looks like. Rattati, do you want to just give a quick summary for anyone that might have missed it, and just like how you guys are feeling about the link between the two games?
Yeah, absolutely. Since First Strike, Operation First Strike, we kind of retrofitted. Like now we feel that all of the events should have been called Operation something. Like it's it didn't, but like now it is. So from the first Operation First Strike, we have been, I would say, experimenting, building like small bridges. I would say like we're throwing ropes across a chasm, like one at a time. And eventually we'll have a strong bridge, but like now we have a few ropes, and they're still all holding. Like they're strong ropes because they're built on Quasar. They're not built. They're built properly. They're not tests or prototypes or anything else. Like they actually are links. We learned a lot from them. We learned a lot about advantage, a lot about kind of triggering events on either side, asynchronous gameplay, etc. And this is really a big moment for the Vanguard team going into alpha, kind of saying this line in the sand is everything you've seen until now has been what we call closed or pre-alpha. We have been experimenting with trying to figure out the soul, the DNA of the game, and trying all these connections, etc. Because we believe that Vanguard is at least the yin and yang. It needs to be a great extraction shooter or great FPS, basically. The model we chose is an extraction adventure model, but the other part of it is an evergreen connection to EVE Online that is meaningful to both players in Vanguard and on EVE side. So we feel that we've tested a lot of stuff, contracts, mining, all kinds of crazy out there things for an FPS that people are like, why would you mine in a game? Because it's an EVE game. Like you wouldn't mine in other games, but you're going to mine in this game. Or you can choose to not to mine and just buy the resources or find another way. It's a capitalistic FPS in some way. So we experimented a lot, and now we've kind of boiled the soup down to like its essence. It's distilled, and alpha is this Operation Avalon is a 10-day event where you'll actually play the extraction adventure FPS the way it's meant to be played. There's a lot of economy in the game. There's a lot of blueprint collections, resource gathering, building up currency, not ISK, but something else. Building up your inventory, and everything is the quality benchmark that we expect. There's no prototype assets anymore. There's no yellow guns or like unskinned textures or anything else. Like this is the game it's meant to be, NPC behaviors, gun behaviors, everything. So it is really coming together, and we feel it's kind of it's really good to see it come together. It's a tough it's a tough thing to make a game that has been kind of stress tested, live ops wise, server wise. We're not a standard indie in that sense. We're not doing this for the first time. We're building like proper technology built to last. So we're ready to take on all newcomers, but obviously, like we're catering still to the people who know Eve right now. We're not going big and bold or like selling TV ads or posters on buses. We're talking to our people, and that's current Eve players, it's lapsed Eve players, it's ex-Dust players, it's anyone who wanted to play Eve but couldn't find their footing, but they would be happy to try another try through an FPS lens. So I just recommend everyone go try it. It's a really cool thing. It's free to play. At this event is free. That is no Omega barrier or anything else. So if you want to try it on Steam, it will be on Steam in what they call the playtesting feature. So you have to go on Steam and request access to the playtest. But you can, if you've tried it before, you can also just try it on the launcher. It's just going to be in your second tab in your beloved Eve launcher. Just go there, download the game, play, and I really recommend everyone trying it. It's really come together.
Awesome. Well, thanks. I'm looking forward to that too. A little bit later on in the summer, in July. But of course, before we get there, we have to wait for Cradle of War coming on the 9th. As of right now, the patch notes are live. The expansion notes for Cradle of War are live. Go check them out. Go figure out what you want to do come Tuesday. Rattati, Burger, Okami, it was a great time chatting with you. I love just nerding out a little bit, talking about like seeing how your brains work a little bit to create the magical world of Eve. So thanks for that. I appreciate it. Any parting words?
See you out there.
In space.
Cool.
Glory to Amar.
Knew it.
Hey, FC Okami. How about Galante and Minimator going and blasting those dudes over there? High five.
Yeah, that's it.
This is why we need to sell force projection. They are teaming up against the Amar. It's not fair, crushing out regional conflict with the big blob. So yes, all the more reason to do that. But thanks again, guys. Appreciate it. And yeah, can't wait to hear what you guys think of Cradle of War. Do keep in touch. Discord, forums, Reddit, wherever you are. We want to hear from you. And yeah, fly safe. Have a great weekend. And we'll see you in space.
Happy reading.